Hi, I'm here today with Briley, and we're going to give you another episode of Know Before You Buy, the Things We Love and Hate. Briley, go ahead and introduce yourself and give the too long did not read.
I'm Briley O'Connor, and I live right now in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm a UX designer for inclusivity and accessibility at W.W. Norton.
Excellent, that's great. So what I like to do is to understand a little bit about your household. So tell me what kind of house you live in, who the people are in your house. Let's give us a kind of, don't tell us anything personal, but
Oh no, that's
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just a little bit of perspective.
Not too much information.
Yeah.
I live in a house that I rent with my boyfriend and my almost 8-year-old son, and all three of us are blind.
Excellent. So your house really depends on accessibility, and it's a rental, so that causes its own barriers and problems when it comes to the appliances in your home.
It does. Basically, I have no control over over if I get accessible appliances or not, for the most part.
Yeah, that and as we know, appliances are getting worse today, not better for accessibility. So, what kind of stove do you have?
It's all of the appliances in the house, I'm pretty sure are, and it's a brand called Amana.
Okay.
I think that's how you say it.
Amana, yeah.
Amana, okay. And so it is a flat top stove,
Ew.
but the buttons on it can be braille labeled because they only do one thing. So that's nice. It's an
And
electric stove.
who braille labeled them with you? Did you do that yourself? Is it something you had to get help with?
We did it with Ira.
You did it with Ira.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start talking about that now. You did it with Ira, which means you had to pay for Ira.
Yes.
And as we all know, the price of Ira is going up and up. And for some of my viewers who don't know what Ira is a remote sighted assistance app,
Well,
or an hour
that-
or something like that.
That's a whole other discussion. It
Yeah.
depends.
It depends.
So I have an NFB plan, and my price didn't change at all, and I got more minutes, but it's not clear. So, proceed with caution. But I do enjoy the services. Visual interpreter, I guess, is what they're classified
Yeah,
as.
visual interpreter, somebody who you can call up with your phone and they'll, quote, be your eyes for that little bit of time. But it is a cost, and it is, dependence on somebody else. And luckily, they're fairly available, pretty good hours. So I don't know, do they work at 2 a.m. in the morning yet?
They do.
They do
Yes.
now. Okay.
It does, though, you are conscious of minutes when you're using it for something like that because, so we can call and say, okay, what are all the things that need labels? And then you hang up. So you could probably get a 5-minute free call out of that part.
Yeah.
You can do that. And then you make all the labels. The thing that takes the longest is accurately placing the label with one hand while holding the phone with the other. Now, if you have two people, one person holds the camera and the other person aims the label, and that goes a little bit faster, but it can be wonky.
And you said there's 3 of you who are blind in the house,
Yes.
so the camera person still needs guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. And do the labels come off because the surface?
We have had that. One of the items on the household to-do list right now is relabel microwave for that reason, because we had a cleaner come in to clean one time, and they thought the braille labels were dirt or something, and so and then by the time they realized they weren't, there was a bunch of them already off on the microwave. So we just were like, well, we know where the 5 is and the start is. We'll just work around it, because now you can kind of feel where they are.
And you get used to the pattern too. I mean, we all do that.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't have to, should we?
I mean, in a perfect world, no.
Yeah. And I mean, my microwave at home, it's a commercial one. And it's because it's a commercial one that's meant to go in like a military base or a high school cafeteria. It's got braille on it and it's built in.
Oh, fancy.
But that's not something everyone can afford, because that's a $400 microwave.
Yeah, I don't.
The average price of microwaves that I've heard of is like $50.
$100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need a lean cuisine bad enough to pay $400 for a microwave. Sorry.
Well said. So, do you have anything in your household, appliance-wise, that you think is just works out of the box?
Yeah, it's a interesting story. So when we moved in this house, the thermostat was older than Methuselah. So it had, it was very difficult to use. You had to press it had tactile buttons on the outside of the panel for the up and down temperature.
Okay.
But you didn't know what temperature it was set to. You didn't know what temperature it was at. And it didn't press reliably. So you had to mash it real hard. 'Cause it was a whole thing. And
It's
so
cold, smash the thing. I can't
Right.
feel anyways because my hands are so cold. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and then it had those programs you could set, but there's no way you could do that accessibly, and so it
Yeah.
was permanently set to some sort of mysterious program. We tried to get people to fix it, no one could figure it out because it was old.
Yeah.
So we did get the thermostat replaced. Now, an interesting caveat or thing about that was there are provisions for renters about accessibility for appliances. So, like, I'm entitled to a working thermostat, right?
Yep.
To be able to control it. However, they said, well, you pay for the thermostat, we'll pay for the installation. And we opted not to fight with it because we got the Google Nest, which I'll get to in a second.
Yep.
But, we just opted not to argue with them about it, but we could have. But then it's like, because we're renting a house from a person, if you file too many maintenance requests or you push back too hard, are they going to renew your lease? You don't want to be...
It's a much harder thing when you're renting from an individual. You're absolutely right. I mean, a big corporation, they've got lawyers. They do understand that they're violating your rights. Some individual doesn't care.
Right. And they're going through a management company, but they're small, so who knows? But
Yeah.
Well, we did just last week install our Google Nest, and it was easy to figure out. There was one part, I'm trying to remember exactly what part it was, that we did need to use Ira for.
Okay. Are you listening, Google?
Yeah, right. It had to do with, like, you had to press a button on it to like pair it with your Wi-Fi. That's what it was. I was like, if I talk long enough, I'll remember what it was. It was to get it connected to the Wi-Fi, which you can do most of it through the app. But your assistant app on your phone, Google Home app, needed to see the thermostat. Also, don't come at me, Internet, if I'm slightly wrong. This is based purely on my memory, and I made my boyfriend do it. So this is just... but I'm pretty sure it was something like that.
And it makes sense because you always have to do something special for the Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
You can't type it in the SID, type in the Wi-Fi ID into the app, and then the app looks for the device. That would just be too simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
it has to, like, signal it and look for it. So it was something like that. But
and I've
it
heard...
did take, like, just a minute.
I've heard that Matter is supposed to fix this, but I won't believe it until I see it, and I don't have any Matter devices yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's, it's good to hear that, you were able to set it up. But does it work now for you? Can you program?
Yes.
Can you do the things you need to do?
Yeah, we could do it all in the Google Home app, or you can do it with your Google Home by talking to it.
Excellent.
And, so you can check your indoor temperature that way. You can check the indoor humidity that way. And you can set all the programs and eco mode and all of that stuff in the app, and it works really well.
And so now
It's
you
very
don't have this
exciting.
mysterious program turning your heat
No.
on and off.
Or just hitting it. One time I accidentally set it to 63 by accident. I was like, why is it so cold in here? I don't know.
I mean, that's just terrible. I mean, and it is a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could get a smart home thermostat, but our house isn't wired for it properly.
Who knows if ours is either. The house is
It
old
worked.
wired. So if it explodes, I'll let you know.
Well, no, it worked. And the problem with ours is the wire that's supposed to tell the the furnace to turn on or off is not existent in our thermostat system.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one did work, and there's another sensor
Yeah.
that I'm probably still sitting in the box on the dining room table.
Well, there we go.
Still on the to-do list. But.
All right. If there was one thing you wanted to finish with and tell manufacturers about, basic appliances and so forth, what would it be?
One thing I wanted to tell them. is that there are a lot of ways to get to accessibility. Apps are great, but apps presume that somebody has access to a smartphone. And while a lot of blind people now have smartphones, the largest population of blind people in the country are seniors. And a lot of seniors don't necessarily have an iPhone or don't necessarily want to use one.
I just gave a thumbs up to the camera, just so you know.
And
So-
yeah, and so I mean, I love apps, and I'm perfectly happy to operate things through apps. I have an Instant Pot, and that's how I operate that, and I'm happy to do that. But I am not, the only person that needs it, and people of privilege with iPhones aren't the only people that need accessible things. So I would say that, like, while apps are great, make sure they're accessible. Also provide another avenue for accessibility if you can.
Yes, yes. I mean, the whole app idea really, puts an extra burden and cost on us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can use these stoves and Instapots without an app, and they'll be perfectly fine.
Right.
But when we can't even turn the thing on, it becomes really, limiting to what we can do.
It's the disability tax.
The disability tax. I
That's
think that tax comes up in every one of these interviews.
It probably does. I mean, I have a humidifier for my piano.
Yep.
So this is a niche home appliance that probably only certain people have that still have a real piano. But I live in an old house in a climate that goes from very dry to very humid in the summer.
Yep.
So we got a humidifier for Christmas for the piano. You pour water in, keeps it, hopefully holds the tune longer, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, the only way to tell if it needs water is a yellow flashing light that's kind of attached underneath the piano. So I get down there and I crawl underneath the piano and I put my little eyeball up to it and I can see if it's flashing or not. But, my boyfriend can't. And we tried to use Seeing AI with the light detector to
Yep.
see if we could tell if it was flashing, but the light's too small. And it's not a giant issue. We just time it for once a week and do it, but it's little things like that. Like even if it made a sound or
Click
or click or
buzzed or something. Or give you an alarm when it ran out.
yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to me today and talking to our audience. I really appreciate you coming and all the prep work we did to get this ready. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for watching today's episode of Know Before You Buy the Things We Love and Hate. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to subscribe, click like, and leave me any comments. And join me next time for another episode.